Morning, Steph. Welcome. How are we? Welcome back to another episode. How you feeling?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Morning as well. Yeah, could have done with a win last night, but we are where we are. We are where we
We
are. We
really,
remain
we really could have done.
like Juventus. We remain unbeaten under Conceição.
Yeah, their
Yeah.
12 draws is actually quite comical when you think
Oh,
about it. But we're not here
crazy.
to talk about the Bianconeri.
Mm.
We're here to talk about something quite topical and something that I think really quite literally hit us in the face as it did Tammy Abraham last night. Our apparent lack of finishing ability. Um,
Mm.
you know, fox in the box, whatever you want to call it, just the ability to get a ball in those clutch moments against whoever it might be, but often these sort of weaker opposition, and just get the ball over the line. So, Steph, we're going to talk a little bit wider, obviously, about the management. Why, over the last 6 years now, almost,
Mm.
have
Mm.
we not been able, under this sort of Elliott/Redbird management I'm talking about, why have we not been able or wanting to genuinely invest in a proper finishing striker?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the starting point would be like why we're having this conversation, and it's
Mhm.
kind of like if you look at Tammy Abraham and you see what he was like at Roma, what not too like 2.5, 3 years ago. You'd probably argue that like that could be a striker that we'd be talking about in the
Yeah.
same point. But obviously came away with a big injury, and historically it had never been like a top tier elite finisher at that level anyway. And then Morata's obviously been like a journeyman throughout Europe and never been known
Mm.
for his stats or his finishing ability. Don't get me wrong, both strikers work really hard. And if you watch the game like against Cagliari last night, you see Morata winning a lot of the ball back, which in what could have been some decent spells of possession for Cagliari, which is
Yep.
great. Tammy Abraham would do the exact same thing as well. Really get the sort of the high line pressing really good. But then you watch a game like last night, and then you see those chances, and equally before with Morata, and like, it's just like these are chances that any striker would be eating up, like bread and butter chances. And then you look from a statistical perspective, and I mean, I think between them are on. I think they're on 10 goals between them. I think this season, is it 5-5 and maybe
I
6-6?
think so. Let me double check that while you
Yeah, while you're
yeah,
checking
let me
that
double
one,
check
I
that.
think it's either 10 or 12 goals between them, because I think Tammy took him out to lead over by one by his goal in the Super Cup, and then obviously Morata equalised that last night. But
Mhm.
regardless if it's 10 or 12 between them in all competitions, that's probably over like the course of a lot of minutes and equally a lot of games. And simply for me, it's just not good enough. And I mean, I put a tweet out last night after the game saying, when you have someone as legendary in attacker position as Ibrahimovic sitting watching all of these games,
That's
you
such a
can't,
good point. Yeah.
like, how can he be sitting there going, this is enough? Like, that one-on-one that Morata spreads through really well through to Tammy Abraham, and then he does everything well, and then he's literally in front of goal. And we've seen it so much the times in the past with strikers, like obviously we grew up with like Inzaghi's and the Shevchenkos, and even forwards like, even Baka would have eaten that one up. But like for Tammy, it's like he smothers it straight at the keeper, and it's just like, well, here you go. And it's just led to our
Mm.
eventual draw, and it makes me think, like, why are we still sitting here years after the signings of, a lot of money was spent on
Mm.
Andre Silva, a lot of money was spent on Piontek, a lot of money was spent on Carlos Bacca. Even, I mean, obviously there was money spent in a lesser degree to like Luis Adriano's and Nikola Kalinic,
Yes.
which I won't really include them. I mean, they're still trash. But those three strikers there at a time when we didn't have a lot of money,
Mm.
we essentially said we need a striker. Maybe that was more of a Berlusconi thing, or coming out of a Berlusconi era thing, where he took a lot of pride on having a striker who can essentially cover a lot of weight where the spend wasn't going for the rest of the side. And that's why we spent a lot of money in attackers in the past.
Yeah.
But ultimately here we sit, where under this new era where we are financially in a stronger position, we aren't willing to put that money in a forward. And I mean, this is equally a question for anyone watching this video. I don't understand why. And I've got some of my theories, but you look at the strikers who we have signed under this era. Obviously, Ibrahimovic on a free. who was great in the sense of what he added to the changing room. Giroud on near enough a free. It was a couple of million euros.
Yeah.
Was he added in a sense of experience and equally being so crucial to our Scudetto campaign. And to be honest, we have to give credit to the last couple of years where he's been putting up good numbers. And in between that, what has it really been? You've had players like Mandzukic, Pellegrini, obviously Morata, Abraham. I'm probably missing some. Origi, fuck me, like on a free. So minimal. We spent minimal on a striker, and we have bolstered the rest of the side. Well, we've spent money on centre backs. We replaced Donnarumma with Mike. We spent money on midfielders. We spent money on attacking midfielders. We spent money on wingers, forwards. That everyone but a centre forward. And I don't quite understand it when it's almost as if like there is a massive market for forwards out there, and I understand that I'll kind of finish my tirade a little bit here and pass on to you in a sec. But I get that you're going to spend more money on a striker and forwards anyway in the modern game. It's just there's a premium on playing for attackers, and I'm not expecting us to go out and sign a fucking Haaland or a Lewandowski,
Gyökeres or whoever it is now.
Yeah, like the best player in the market. But there is some shrewd business that can be made with forwards out there. And an example being one of your favourites, Jonathan David.
Yep.
Who is on the last 6 months of his contract. And then someone could be equally watching this going like, well, he's not the fucking answer either. But the point being is that we're not even willing to go into that market for it. It's always the winger positions. So yeah, I guess there's the money that could be spent. There's the wages that equally comes with it as well. But like, we're always going for a striker that's, over the hill in a sense of like, fucking 32 and above. Or someone that's really young. And to be honest, Tammy was really just an anomaly. And that's because Roma wanted to get rid of him and send him out on loan, which there's no actually guarantee that long-term we're going to sign him. There's not a willingness to go and do what we've done in other parts of the team where we've signed players between the age of 23 to 27 years old who are in a good run of form. And equally, could come from these leagues like Germany or Holland, or because we have been linked to players like, Jimenez in Holland and Jonathan David in France. But there's not been a willingness to pull the trigger on it. And I don't understand that. And that's doing us a lot of harm, which we're masking up really well from performances like Pulisic, like we spoke about last week. But it's just, it makes you just think like, what would this be like if we're creating so much for our strikers, but like, imagine if we just had a striker who could put up, honestly, right now, could probably equally be on like maybe 10 to 12 goals already this season on his own, which is crazy.
Yeah, easily.
But I mean, what do you think on this sort of thing?
So just to go back on obviously the point of the research, both Tammy and Morata have 6 goals apiece. Including goals in obviously competitions such as the Super Coppa, for example. So, yeah, you were right. 5, 6. It's minimal. It's what you'd expect from one striker at this point in the season, and that would even be quite a low haul for a top side. I would say 12 goals come January would be sort of average for a decent. The likes of Jamie Vardy's on near enough that at Leicester, relegation side in the Premier League. So. There's lots of thoughts. I have a theory about this, and mine goes down to cost, and not cost on the transfer, but cost on wages and the overall package. Because if you look at the players that we have signed, your Zlatans, your Giroud, those players were on big contracts to a degree because they come with an air of guarantee. So you can build a contract with bonuses and this and that because you know that they're going to hit them, because Giroud's going to get you 15 over a season, Zlatan the same, and they also bring all this other stuff. Strikers, again, I don't know the ins and outs of contract business, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, usually get paid the most in any team. That's just a fact, especially if you're a good striker that's going to bring in the goals. On top of that, you're going to have bonuses attached to your contract depending on how many goals you scored, where you score them, what those goals mean for the club, etc., etc. And I would be surprised if a lot of our decision making is that we don't want to spend money on a big striker